Tonight on NewsWatch, radical Islam from Chechnya to America. Congress investigates the terror ties of the Boston bombers.
Plus, is the government stockpiling ammunition? And why do Homeland Security agents use 3 times more ammunition than the average U.S. soldier?
And breaking bad habits, what it really takes to get your life on the right track. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. The suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings has been moved from the hospital to the prison. The transfer comes a day after it was revealed the brothers planned to attack an iconic center in the heart of New York City. George Thomas has the very latest.
Their target, Times Square. In what's been described as a spur-of-the-moment scheme, 19-year-old Tsarnaev told investigators they planned to go to New York to blow up the rest of their explosives.
He told the FBI apparently that he and his brother had intended to drive to New York and designate additional explosives in Times Square.
The suspects had multiple devices in their stolen SUV that they intended to use.
The two brothers had at their disposal 6 improvised explosive devices. One was a pressure cooker bomb, similar to the 2 that had exploded at the marathon. The other 5 were pipe bombs.
But the plan fell apart when their hijacked SUV ran low on fuel, and the brothers got into a shootout with police that left the older brother dead.
We don't know if we would have been able to stop the terrorists had they arrived here from Boston. We're just thankful that we didn't have to find out that answer.
Early this morning, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was moved from hospital to a federal detention hospital west of Boston. He was interrogated and was sharing details, but stopped talking after a judge read him his rights.
My understanding was the interrogation was going to last about 48 hours. It was ended by the judge after 16 hours.
Meanwhile, investigators are trying to determine whether his older brother had any contacts with radical Islamic groups during his 6-month visit to the volatile Russian region of Dagestan in 2012. On Capitol Hill today, lawmakers were briefed on the growing radicalization of provinces like Dagestan and the North Caucasus.
If Dagestan is a place where it's known that that is a haven for jihadist philosophy, why we would not be concerned about someone that's in the United States going to that area for 6 months. I mean, what was he doing for 6 months?
And for some answers to this critical question, we turn now to our senior international reporter, George Thomas, who was recently in Dagestan. George, what was Tamerlan doing in Dagestan for 6 months?
Yeah, that's sort of the black spot in this entire investigation. Austin's, in essence, he went to Dagestan 2012 in January for 6 months to visit his family, his relatives. But clearly, this is a man who was on the path already to radicalization. He landed in Makhachkala, which is the capital city of Dagestan, already radicalized. And let me give you some statistics. The first 6 months in Dagestan saw 262 terrorist crimes. It was up from 220. This is the epicenter of radical Islam in southern Russia. For 6 months, he's surrounded by Russians who are battling Islamists almost on a daily basis. So he comes to the region radicalized, and he sees fellow Muslims engaged in a war with the Russians. And so all of this has had to have had some kind of impact on his life.
George, are the Russians providing us with any intelligence on his activities?
Which is very fascinating, because in 2011, the Russians sent a note to the CIA as well as the FBI to say, listen, we've got 2 guys who are from this region of Russia. They seem to have some kind of affinity for radical groups in Chechnya. You need to keep an eye on them. Well, the United States went back to the Russians and said, listen, can you give us more details? The Russians went silent. Here, this guy goes to this volatile region, and Russia does not share any more details. I have a funny feeling that the Russians have a lot more information on the 6 months that this guy spent in Dagestan that they're not revealing. And I think the end analysis is that you are going to see a connection between some of the radical groups that today operate in Chechnya, and that could have significant implications for us here in the U.S.
And really scary that they were on their way into New York to do more of the same. team. George Thomas, thanks so much for your insights. Keep us posted.
You're welcome.
Mark?
Today, Congress put a stop to the air traffic controller furloughs that were blamed for widespread flight delays all week. The Senate voted last night and the House today to erase about $200 million in cuts to the Federal Aviation Administration. The cuts came as part of the sequester designed to trim America's massive deficit spending. Democrats largely went along with the bill but said all the cuts should be lifted. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has been buying up massive amounts of ammunition. Americans are wondering why, and so is Congress. That's why House Republicans started investigating the issue Thursday. For months, the internet has been ablaze with rumors about the government buying up ammunition. Federal officials have denied any stockpiling, even as they continue to purchase hundreds of millions of rounds.
And as we have seen, Homeland Security currently has in inventory more than 260 million rounds of ammunition.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz says Republicans are looking for answers because, at the very least, they want to prevent government waste.
It is entirely inexplicable why the Department of Homeland Security needs so much ammunition. Their officers used what seems to be an exorbitant amount of ammunition.
Officials with the Department of Homeland Security say there's nothing unusual going on here.
The second assertion is that we're stockpiling ammunition. Simply not true. DHS's recent purchases of ammunition will not create shortages and restrict the supply of ammunition available to the public.
But Chaffetz says it's shocking that DHS agents would need 3 times more ammunition per year than the average U.S. soldier does.
Homeland Security officers used roughly 1,000 rounds more per person or per officer than the average Army officer.
Congressman Jim Jordan said the questions surrounding that issue highlight another problem, that DHS hasn't been clear and open with the American people.
And then when you do the numbers, 1,300 rounds per DHS employee per year, and you compare it to our soldiers in uniform in the United States Army, 347 rounds per soldier per year, you got a credibility problem.
Meanwhile, the man in charge of buying all the ammunition for DHS says they may buy another 750 million rounds in coming years. The Government Accountability Office is launching a review of the ammo purchases at DHS.
We have newly released video from the attack on the Family Research Center last year. Here you can see as building manager Leo Johnson wrestles Floyd Corkins to the ground and takes the gun away from him. Even after sustaining a direct hit to the arm, Corkins entered the building with a handgun and 100 rounds of ammunition. He's since confessed that he planned to kill as many people as possible at the conservative lobbying group. In an FBI interrogation, Corkins explains why he chose the Family Research Council.
Southern poverty law lists anti-gay groups. I found them online. Okay. A little bit of research, went to their website and stuff like that. Okay.
Despite being connected in federal court to a domestic terrorism conviction, the Southern Poverty Law Center has refused to remove the Family Research Council as a hate group from its target map.
The Mormon Church supports a new proposal by the Boy Scouts to end a ban on gay youth members. The ban on gay adult leaders would stay in place. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints said in a statement on their website, "Scouting exists to serve and benefit youth rather than scout leaders, a single standard of moral purity for youth in the program, and a renewed emphasis for scouts to honor their duty to God." The Mormon Church has more scouting troops than any other religious denomination in the country.
President Obama today became the first sitting president to address Planned Parenthood in person. The president spoke at the group's gala, a fundraiser for the nation's #1 abortion provider. He said states across the country want to turn back the clock on abortion to the 1950s. Pro-life advocates say the president is talking out of both sides of his mouth.
One side of him says, I'm for gun rights or to limit gun rights. I want to protect life of human beings. On another side, he says, I'm all for letting these kinds of atrocities go on on the abortion level.
In today's speech, President Obama said, quote, "You've also got a president who is going to be right there with you, fighting every step of the way."
NBC pulled an episode of its new serial killer drama, Hannibal, in response to the Boston bombing violence. Last night's broadcast was originally scheduled to air a storyline that featured children being brainwashed and turned into killers. Instead, executive producer Brian Fuller decided to air a different episode. It addressed the human response to suffering. Other networks, including ABC and Fox, have also adjusted their programming in light of the Boston attack. Joining us now by Skype is Tim Winter, president of the Parents Television Council. Tim, the whole premise of NBC's drama Hannibal is violent. So what is achieved by pulling this one particular episode?
I'd like to ask that of the executives at NBC myself. I can't see any distinction without any difference here.
Other networks have also rescheduled programs that had references to bombings in the wake of current events and so forth. Does it seem that they're missing the point of what effect violence in general has on viewers?
I'm often amused by the arguments that some in the entertainment industry will try to levy. They'll say that our content doesn't influence anybody's behavior. Yet I just saw a data point that $76 billion was spent last year on advertising on television. The sole purpose of those $76 billion was to change the behavior of the viewer. The behavior of the viewer isn't influenced only by the commercials. It's also influenced by the programs. So for the television networks to say, well, we don't actually impact the behavior of the viewers, they don't say that to the advertisers, do they? That would go against their financial best interests. So there's a tremendous amount of hypocrisy going on. And the notion of saying that we're going to take away an episode of a show because it is insensitive at a certain time, then why would they put it on again 2 or 3 weeks down the road? Why is it less insensitive in a couple of weeks than it is now? The answer is it isn't less insensitive. It is every bit as offensive to most Americans.
Now, what would you and the Parents Television Council like to see TV executives address? How would you like to see them address offensive programming on their networks?
Well, first of all, they have to understand the role they play. When we talk about a violent society, tragic violence being played out almost daily in our nation somewhere, the media, the entertainment industry especially, has to understand that they do play a role. They are quick to point out that they can achieve positive change when they want to say that. But what they need to understand is that there's also a negative influence and impact from their work. So they have to step up and be more mindful of when and where and how and what they're doing. That's number one. Number two is there needs to be a greater sense of accountability by those who have oversight. The Federal Communications Commission in Washington has oversight over the public airwaves, the publicly owned airwaves. The FCC needs to take its responsibility, its obligation more seriously to enforce the laws that have been on the books for decades. Enforce the law, and unfortunately right now the FCC is not enforcing the law.
All right, Tim Winter with the Parents Television Council. Thanks for your work, sir.
Great to be with you.
Coming up, heartbreak in the heartland. How residents are coping with devastating floodwaters in Middle America.
He promised health care for everyone. But now, seniors are getting hit with more than $700 billion in Medicare cuts. Insurance costs are going up. Businesses say they can't afford Obamacare, so they'll pay big fines and millions of employees could lose their health care. Plus, everyone pays hidden taxes and fees, as much as 40% on some health plans. But you can get the truth. Get the brand new book, The Obamacare Survival Guide. It's #1 on Amazon and a New York Times bestseller. Inside, you'll discover hundreds of loopholes, tips, and strategies to survive Obamacare now. Join the more than 250,000 people who've claimed their copy and get yours before it's too late. Go to Obamacare911.com. The Obamacare Survival Guide will give you hundreds of tips on how to save money and protect yourself. You can pick up your copy in bookstores for only $19.95 or have your copy rushed to your door for the internet-only price of just $4.95. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Record spring flooding is still paralyzing parts of the Midwest.
Yeah, residents are bracing themselves as more rivers are close to cresting, while in other areas, floodwaters are just beginning to recede. Heather Sells has the latest.
A week after the flooding started, the waters are still standing in many places, like in this neighborhood in northern Illinois. Farmers say it's still too wet to plant and expect lower yields when they do. And families everywhere are dealing with precious memories turned to trash.
I raised my daughters in this house and my grandkids. You know, they've been coming over since they were little.
Since they were born?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Pretty heartbreaking. Like, first load I picked up was a wedding dress, and, you know, you see the families up crying, so it's pretty hard.
The floods have also proved dangerous. In Michigan, fast rising waters turned into rapids, almost sweeping away this couple in their canoe. Along the Mississippi, waters are still rising, and flood warnings extend up and down the river from Wisconsin to Louisiana. They're catching drivers off guard.
It was over my seat because I was sitting crisscross in my seat and my behind started getting wet.
In Indiana, the Wabash River is threatening to breach levees.
We've been sandbagging all morning.
And in the Dakotas, a mix of snow and warm temperatures could bring the Red River to near record levels.
What's going to be happening in the Dakotas and Minnesota this weekend is going to be unbelievable. We still have over a foot of snow in some areas. Temperatures will be heading well into the 70s this weekend, and that snow will be rapidly melting.
And believe it or not, sequestration budget cuts may put some communities in danger of flooding at an even greater risk. The government will soon shut down more than 100 gauges that warn of imminent flooding. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, you've heard the phrase, drop it like a bad habit, but that's easier said than done. We'll show you why some habits stick and others don't.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Struts Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, callous feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my struts, love my struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Welcome back. If you're like most people, you've got some bad habits you want to get rid of.
You don't have any.
Oh.
But most people, right?
Yeah.
Well, in fact,
I've got a few.
In fact, a Duke University study shows nearly half of everything we do each day is not a conscious decision, just something we do by habit. But as our health reporter Lori Johnson tells us, there's a new technique that can help us take control of our behavior.
Most of us know from experience bad habits such as smoking and eating junk food are hard to break. And good habits, like that New Year's resolution to exercise every day, are hard to keep. But you're more likely to succeed with a new strategy. Scientists recently uncovered an enormous amount about how habits work in our brains.
Everything we know about the science of habits indicates that any habit can be changed.
In his book, The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg points out each habit contains 3 parts. First, a cue, which automatically triggers us to start. Then comes the routine, which is the behavior itself, followed by the reward, which is what we crave and is the key to our brain remembering that routine in the future.
And everyone from Aristotle to Oprah talks about changing habits, and for years they focused on the routine, on the behavior. But what we've learned is that it's really the cues and the rewards that shape how habits function. And that's how you can change habits, by diagnosing and paying attention to these cues and rewards.
Charles used himself as an example. In his job at the New York Times, he wanted to break his bad habit of eating a cookie in the company cafeteria every afternoon. So that's the routine. First, he identified the cue, which is always one of 5 things: time of day, a certain place, presence of other people, a particular emotion, or something you just did.
And so every day when I had a cookie urge, I would write down those 5 things. Where am I sitting? What am I doing? And I realized pretty soon that the cue was a certain time of day. It always hit between 3:15 and 3:45.
Then he experimented to diagnose the reward. Did it satisfy hunger? No, because after eating a filling apple, he still craved a cookie. Was it getting a break from work? No, because after walking outside, he still craved a cookie. How about interacting with other people? Bingo, because when he socialized, even without food, he felt content.
The cookie had essentially become an excuse for talking to other people. So once I recognized that, once I knew that the cue was a certain time of day and the reward was the social experience, I could reshape the behavior, the routine. So now every day I stand up at about 3:30 and I look for someone to go have a conversation with, and I walk over to their desk and then I go back to my desk. And the cookie urge is totally gone. I've changed that habit.
Let's say you want to break your habit of smoking a cigarette every night, and you figured out your cue is finishing dinner, and your reward is feeling relaxed. Now you need to find a better routine that delivers the same reward, such as taking a bath. But what if instead of changing a habit, you'd like to start a brand new one, like daily exercise? In this case, you have to come up with your own cues and rewards, but make sure the reward is something you genuinely enjoy, like listening to your favorite music.
If you go for a run every morning and you tell yourself, I'm going to reward myself by eating kale chips, that is not going to work because nobody actually likes kale chips, right? On the other hand, there was a study that was done in Germany where they told people, go running in the morning, start an exercise routine. And when you get back to your house, eat a small piece of chocolate. Now, this is counterintuitive, right? Because nobody exercises to eat more chocolate. And yet it worked. Because chocolate is a reward that people actually enjoy.
So by understanding our habits are simply cues followed by a routine, then a reward, we can control our behavior. And as a bonus, the longer we stick with a habit, the easier it becomes. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Good advice, Lori. Up next, quilting for a cause. The women donating their time, skill, and fabric for the quiet heroes behind organ donation.
He promised health care for everyone. But now, seniors are getting hit with more than $700 billion in Medicare cuts. Insurance costs are going up. Businesses say they can't afford Obamacare, so they'll pay big fines and millions of employees could lose their health care. Plus, everyone pays hidden taxes and fees, as much as 40% on some health plans. But you can get the truth. Get the brand new book, The Obamacare Survival Guide. It's #1 on Amazon and a New York Times bestseller. Inside, you'll discover hundreds of loopholes, tips, and strategies to survive Obamacare now. Join the more than 250,000 people who've claimed their copy and get yours before it's too late. Go to Obamacare911.com. The Obamacare Survival Guide will give you hundreds of tips on how to save money and protect yourself. You can pick up your copy in bookstores for only $19.95 or have your copy rushed to your door for the internet-only price of just $4.95. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Well, April is National Donate Life Month.
And a special group of women from Iowa are honoring organ donation in a very unique way. The women are using their creativity and skill to create quilts for donors. Once the blankets are finished, they are placed on the hospital bed before the organs are recovered. Then they're given to the donor's family.
Each one of us have different talents, and we try to use those talents to create what we hope is a nice product for people. It's a really an important thing, I think, when people are in a situation where they're losing things that are important to them. It's nice to have something as a memory.
The ladies make the quilts with their own money and materials, all for the Iowa Donor Network. It's neat to see, huh?
I'm a huge quilt fan. I just love quilts. There's something so comforting about them.
That's right. Have you ever made one or worked on one?
Made with love. I have. My grandmother and I did.
Hidden talent here. That's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Have a great weekend. Good night.